There, in and hooked and release. And you'll see the line, our line, now hooked into the loop. So it looked pretty good. There's the rest of the gear bias. It's a lot of gooseneck barnacles on the gear, by the way, if you're wondering. So it's pretty fouled up. There's our line. You'll see the telemetry buoy. We tend to put that on first just in case the whale was to get away from us. We could find it again. There it goes, right there. Okay, so the whale is tagged. And I thought that all looked good. And I remember calling Dan Salden on the VHF radio and saying, Dan, can you follow the whale for us? We're going to get our gear clear here. And he called back about 5 minutes later. He said, the buoy stopped. And I thought, well, that's good news. It's cut. It's just drifting there now. But he said the gear is still on the whale. So we made another cut, and we lost light. So we re-tagged the whale. And unfortunately, it's a sei whale, or at least that's, again, what we thought it was. It tore off to the north. And let me show you that track. First, we were wondering, why did it not free the animal? Well, here's the nice thing about those pole cameras. Right where it knocked into the gear, it knocked all these gooseneck barnacles. There was 2 lines there. I think we cut one, did not cut the other one. So we needed a little more unraveling to occur. And so here's the track line. It tore off to the north. And about here, we definitely had a drift buoy. And here's where Dr. John and Nikolai helped us out, because I was calling them, and they were not just tracking Japanese tsunami debris, but they were helping me. I know they were very, very busy helping us track or model what might happen to a telemetry buoy that's adrift out there. And do we have just a grapple hook hanging below it, or do we have more gear, as in the entanglement hanging below it? And I thought from their modeling and the effect of, this is all current driven right here, that we had more than just a line and a grapple, that we had that gear hanging below it. So I think we freed that sei whale eventually. So we did try to recover this several times and just couldn't get there. I know the Coast Guard at this point left from Kauai, and just like Bill said, they got caught in marine debris on the way out to collect my tag package, so they had to turn back to the port. And so our accomplishments so far, 16 animals we've cut free since 2002, 15 humpback whales, that one sei whale from life-threatening entanglements, more than 2,000 meters or 6,700 feet of line. That's stuff you want to measure. 3/8 or larger have been removed, and 34 sets of gear have been identified, so it's really important. And what have we learned so far? Let's see, I'm doing on time. I'm over. Well, let's go fast here. I see Greg moving. So we've learned it's a lot of juveniles. It wasn't just that yearling. Lots of juveniles. Heavy on the juveniles here. And that holds as well up in Alaska. You see the piece of the pie increases for the calves, but still heavy on the juveniles. So there's impact there. Whether they're playing with the gear or just not aware of it, what have you, it seems like they're getting themselves in trouble. And as far as gear types, it's heavy on fixed gear, pot gear or trap gear, things like crab, pot, shrimp, fish, as well as long line, moorings, things that are set and left. That tends to be what we're having as far as the debris here. And basically, I think anything that's on an animal is debris once it's on the animal, entangling it. And if I look at the local pot gear, you can see here that we tend to find the animals within 60 nautical miles, and typically within a week if it's local gear. Lots of youngsters, again, lots of youngsters. And by the way, I'll skip that. That's a calf that's entangled in gear off of Oahu. And then on the Alaskan gear, boy, we're talking some long distances, easily averages of 2,000 nautical miles, maximums of 2,500 nautical miles, some of which we know exactly where, like Wrangell, Alaska, and west of the Pribilof Islands. So it's really a testament to the strength of the animals. And some long durations, 47 days, as well as distances. Lots of adults. Somewhere here, I think it was 6 adults, only 2 juveniles. I think what's happening here is that this is heavy gear. We're talking pots that are 700 pounds or more in weight. It takes an adult maybe to drag that gear here as opposed to juveniles. And just quickly on the Alaska gear, same sort of stuff. It's fixed gear. There's your pot gear, your trap gear, but look at gill net, other nets, seines, okay? We're getting some of this pot gear in Hawaii here. They're bringing it down. But as of yet, I'm going to switch to the next slide here. I think, as of yet, we're not seeing the gillnet down here in Hawaii. We have not had that. I think gillnet entanglements, if they involve the head rope and the lead line, and if it's involved like this guy, this juvenile, it's lethal. They either can't drag it down here or they don't make it down here. So it can be more lethal, and there's some numbers there to show that. Very small sample sizes, but there is indication that gillnet entanglements like that are more lethal. And there's back to our no gillnet in Hawaii so far. Okay, long line, the convergence zone, and where that marine debris might end up from Japan. There is a line here that we find from the observer program, as well as down here in Hawaii. So we get long line entanglements. Most of it's up there or found here, but I had a case last year where it was south of the islands. It was kind of odd. I don't know if the whales are heading from Johnson Atoll or Palmyra or vice versa. I don't know. And this season so far, as we wind down here, 9 confirmed entanglement reports. Many may have read just last week in the Maui News. We had 3 off Maui. It was just 1 off Maui recently. The other 2 were off of Oahu and Kauai. Basically, we're getting 1 a week there. You can see a mix of adults and juveniles. You can see different islands there that we're getting reports on. We've had a couple no responses, a couple not found, very typical. And we've had 2 animals get out of it on their own. And of course, last week we made an attempt to free an animal, and we just couldn't get the gear off. So already you see the mix of gear, pretty much just as you saw in the pie diagram. So and this is the Oahu animal a couple weeks ago, and the Kauai animal more recently. And this is the animal just last week off of Maui here. You can see it's a mix of gear, different line types. And let's see, I think this one, I believe, is pot gear from Alaska. I don't know exactly where it's set. I haven't got a hold of fishermen yet, but the numbers on the buoy indicate it's also from Alaska. Okay, here's trying to get that grapple on this guy. He was very evasive, didn't want anything to do with us. Wouldn't let us get close. And just in summary, our response efforts here have increased the scope of the effort, definitely. We're learning more. We involve the migration and the wintering grounds of at least humpback whales, and that helps. The risk of entanglement is throughout the North Pacific, obviously, and the full extent of the threat impact is still unknown, but we're making progress, and there's still, well, at least we're saving some of the animals out there and learning a lot. I think with that, thank you guys, and I went a little long, sorry, Greg.